Shabdenjin Chele Chojuru Jevaradid Saminanaga Chive Jimijin Chide Yanda Dawa Tande Pepinjin Chambe Yidan Den Kirujin Teme gawa jevaradzedo Sochana jambu lange yawaye Padele peche jekendin deda shavdenjin Chele chojuru jevaradzedo Saminanaga chive jimijin Chide yanda dawa tande Pepinjin chambe yidan den kirujin Teme gawa jevaradzedo Sochana jambu lange yawaye Paden garabu chenve ramze Shenke sanrin jin gyaban den baye Charaden jive kan.
Hi, I'm Leila. Welcome to the LA Steel Show. Today we're in Egremont, Massachusetts at the Ahimsa Institute. I'm here with the founder and the director, Dr. Bruce McCarter. Welcome to the show, Bruce.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about your institute? What's it all about?
Well, originally it came from an inspiration I had while I was studying some of the philosophical foundations for Buddhism. And it occurred to me that the Buddhist teachings had a lot to offer people in terms of finding alternative ways to deal with conflict, promoting peace. And the term ahimsa is a Sanskrit term which refers to the spirit of nonviolence.
So do you offer courses here or retreats, or exactly what is it that you do here at the Institute?
Well, we're really still in the early stage of development. As it stands at this point, I lead a weekly meditation and discussion class every Thursday evening, and periodically we have special programs. Sometimes we have lamas coming from the outside, or as today we had a special visit from His Holiness Sakya Trizin. And in the future, we hope to develop a retreat center here.
So that would be a retreat center for anyone who's interested, or specifically for people who are committed to Buddhism?
I think probably the retreats would be more for people who've already focused on Buddhism as a main practice. However, as a center, we're very open and very much interested in having people of different religious traditions come together so that we can share our common beliefs and talk about those things that are different. And I think we can all learn from that and benefit from it.
That's a very exciting thing, and I look forward to when you begin. I'd like you to tell the folks at home a little bit about the special guest that you have speaking today at your institute.
Well, His Holiness Sakya Trizin is the 41st Patriarch of the Sakya tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. And in terms of the Tibetan hierarchy, he's really just sort of a half step under His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Each of the 4 traditions of Tibetan Buddhism have a spiritual head or patriarch within that tradition, and His Holiness is the head of the Sakya tradition.
Now that particular tradition, is that an inherited position, or do you study to become, to reach that position? How does that work in Buddhism?
Well, it varies from sect to sect, or tradition to tradition. in the Sakyapa tradition, the Sakya sect, it actually is an inherited position, although they still need to be recognized and enthroned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two main families that the Sakya Trizin comes from, and it alternates generation from one family to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, may seem strange or unusual, but that's the way they do it.
And that's part of their tradition.
Yes.
Do you have a website that people could, who are computer illiterate, everybody's on the internet today, that people could reach you or find out more about Buddhism, or a website you would recommend?
Well, there are quite a few websites associated with the Sakya tradition, and I don't have all of them in my mind. We are just put together a website,
mm-hmm.
and I was just told today that we've had a little bit of technical difficulties getting it online, but the domain name is www.ahimsa-institute.
So you'll be working on that. I know everybody that has a website always has a little bit of difficulty getting it going.
Well,
so it's not an uncommon thing.
It's all done. It's just getting it. You understand?
Yes, I
It's
understand.
set, but it's coming.
Do you have a telephone number that people could reach you here?
Certainly. Area code 413-528-8858.
And if people call you, will you be able to give them your plans for the fall?
Yes, certainly.
Good. Well, I encourage any of our viewers at home who are interested in exploring or learning more about Buddhist traditions, or maybe just meditating, they should give Bruce a call and come to this really beautiful spot. It's very peaceful, and you're really close to nature. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, His Holiness, for allowing us to talk with you today.
Yes, you're welcome.
I know your time is very precious. The question that I'd like to ask you, if you had a message to give to our television viewers, what would that be? What would you say to them? You have many messages, but if you could pick one, what would it be?
I think it is possible that we can change our mind, and we can change our mind in positive ways. And the positive mind is like the compassion, the loving kindness, and the tolerance, and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And such qualities are very important. And so we must develop these qualities and change our mind in that pattern. And that will certainly create benefit for oneself as well as other beings, through which we can also make the world more peaceful and harmonious.
That would be wonderful. I have a lot of friends who are in the peace movement, who are activists, who are very much against going to war.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them feel very discouraged about what's happened,
Yeah.
especially with this war against Iraq, which continues, and many people are being killed on both sides. Do you have some words of encouragement for those people?
Yes, I think it's, you see, the anger, you can't conquer anger by anger, but the anger can be conquered by the loving kindness and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So as an individual, I think emphasizing on the loving kindness and compassion is the great quality of the mind which we must generate and try to practice through. Only then conquer the negative emotions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your thoughts and the time. that
Thank
you
you
take.
very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my very warm greetings to all of you, and also to welcome you all this talk. And also I would like to thank Bruce and the whole family very much for inviting me here, this Ahimsa Center, and also arranging this opportunity to meet you all and to share the teachings of the Buddha. So now, before I begin the actual teaching, I would like to recite a short prayer, prayer to the Buddha and all the Bodhisattvas. Now, in the world that we live, in this world there are many different races, different religions, different culture, different philosophy, many different ways. But one thing that is common to all is that everybody wishes to be free from suffering, and everybody wishes to accomplish happiness. So for the sake of happiness, every individual, every society is making efforts. And for the sake of happiness that we made progress. And during the last century, so much progress has been made, especially here in the West, in the field of science and technology. And these developments are very beneficial in many ways, especially like medical treatment and transportation and communication and so on. But then at the same time, we can see very clearly that this outer material development alone is not enough to find the real peace and happiness. We must make the inner spiritual development, because only through the inner spiritual development that one can really find the real peace and happiness. And moreover, it is very important, especially in this stage, because now we have all this modern technology, and if it is falls in the hands of the wrong person, like people who have the negative emotions, then it's very dangerous. So we have to make not to control these developments in the hands of the wrong persons, and we have to be used in a more positive way. So to be able to do that, I think the inner spiritual development is very important. And if the outer material progress and the inner spiritual progress are combined together, then it is a great benefit. And one can really, then we can make the world a more happier place, more peaceful place, and make more real happiness. And to do that, I think it's very important to make the inner spiritual development. And the inner spiritual development means, of course, there are major religions of the world. Actually, all the major religions of the world emphasize the importance of loving kindness, compassion, tolerance, and patience, and forgiveness, and all in many ways very similar. But I myself, as a Buddhist, from the Buddhist point of view, that I try to present you, the Lord Buddha founded the Buddhist teachings. The Buddha gave the Buddhist teachings. And the Lord Buddha, when he first took the kind of vow to attain the enlightenment, it is for the purpose of all the sentient beings, without any discrimination, without any exception, for everybody to be free from suffering and to lead to the happiness that he created. He created what in Buddhist term are called enlightenment mind. And then in the meantime, through a very long period of time, that he accumulated the merit and wisdom through the two together, then he eliminated all forms of obscurations, so that all forms of obscurations are completely cleared, in the sense that they will never reoccurring again. It's completely taken out from the root of it. So all the obscurations are completely cleared, and then finally he attained the enlightenment, which means that he's free from all the obscurations, and that he have accomplished every possible qualities. And then after attaining enlightenment, of course, his main purpose of attaining enlightenment is to benefit the sentient beings, benefit the beings. And so after attaining enlightenment, all his activities, the physical activities, the verbal activities, and the mental activities are all for the sake of the other sentient beings. And out of these activities, the greatest activity is the voice activity. In our Buddhist term, we call the turning of the wheel of Dharma. Just like the wheel turns and then you get to the destinations. Similarly, the Buddha gives the teachings just like the wheel, and then it will transfer what he has accomplished, the realizations that he accomplished will then transfer to the disciples, and then the disciples practice what he has given, the instructions and teachings, techniques, and then again you practice, and through this practice, just like rolling the wheel, that you proceed further on the path, and then you get to higher and higher places of the liberation and the enlightenment. So since the followers, the sentient beings are limitless, you see, just like space is limitless, space, there's no end to the space. So similarly, the beings are also, there's so many beings, innumerable beings. Beings are limitless. And the limitless sentient beings that we all have, although basically everybody is same in the sense that everybody is wished to be free from suffering, and everybody is longing for happiness, but at the same time that we all have a different taste, different mentality, different nature, different defilements and different propensities. So therefore, the one kind of teaching is not enough. Just as like you need different medicines for different disease. And besides, not only the different medicines, but the different systems of medicines. You see, for certain disease, the allopathic medicine is more effective. For certain disease, the Ayurvedic medicine is more effective. And similarly, the homeopathic and naturopathic and so on. There are so many different systems. It's necessary to cure the different diseases. So similarly, the Buddha also, the one kind of teaching is not enough. So the Buddha himself also gave different levels of teachings, innumerable teachings. So from that point, I think that different religions, the tolerance of the different religions that we have in the world are of course all necessary. Just as like the different system of medicine is necessary for the different disease, similarly to train the different kind of beings, the different kind of religion is necessary. And so the Buddha himself also taught many different levels of the teachings. So therefore today we have here in Hinayana, within Buddhist we have a Hinayana and Mahayana and Vajrayana. And within them also there are many different schools. And so in any case, that we as human beings, in our life there are many different requirements. We need places to live, we need food, shelter, clothes, medicines, friends and companions and so on. But the most important thing is the spiritual practice. Without spiritual practice, then the whole life is like empty and like a hollow. And so the spiritual part is very, very important. According to the Buddhist teachings, there are three kinds of spiritual paths, depending on the levels of the mentality. You see that we see that according to the Buddhist teachings that we have the physical body and mind. And the physical body and the mind are very different. Because physical body is that somebody knows that from where present body came from. It came from our parents, and also we know how it is developed, and also how it is maintained, and also we know that it is something that we can see with our eyes, and we can touch with our hands, and we can describe its size and colors and shape and so on. And then at the end also, this body will be disposed in one way or another. But the mind is something very different. Mind that we don't see. We can't see our mind with our naked eyes. We can't touch the mind with our hands. We can't describe the mind, its colors or its shape or its size. So it's in another way, it is the empty. It's the emptiness. Yet the mind is the most powerful thing. It is the mind that will do all the wrong things, and it is the mind who also do the right things, and it is the mind who enjoys the happiness, and it is the mind who suffers. So the mind is most important.
To
Hi, I'm Leila. Welcome to the LA Steel Show. We're at the Ahimsa Institute in Egremont, Massachusetts, and I'm here with Kristen, who is a follower of His Holiness, and would you pronounce his name for our viewers?
Sakya Trizin.
Sakya Trizin. And we're waiting for him to give a talk on wisdom and compassion. I was talking to Kristen a little bit, and she's been a follower for 4 years. And can you tell our viewers why you've chosen to follow him?
Well, I've been on the path of Tibetan Buddhism since 1990. And I asked His Holiness Sakya Trizin, who is the head of the Sakya lineage. In Tibetan Buddhism, there are 4 lineages, and the Sakya lineage, Sakya Trizin is the head. And I asked him to be my root guru, which means main teacher, in Singapore. I traveled there in 1995. And I feel so fortunate to have this connection with His Holiness.
Has this changed your life at all, Kristen?
Immensely.
In what way has it changed your life to find something that you're so committed to, a spiritual awakening?
It's changed my life in the sense that it's made my life purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
The teachings of Tibetan Buddhism emphasize wisdom and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
and reaching out and helping each and every human being through the suffering that prevails as we are here on this planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
we certainly right now live in very troubled times, or at least we're all quite aware of the troubled times that we live in.
one of the main reasons I continue on the path, as I've meditated and received teachings from His Holiness and from many other high lamas and rinpoches, is that my wisdom has deepened and my compassion has deepened, such that it's helped me to develop more skillful means in reaching out and helping not only myself through the ups and downs of life, but others.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing. Maybe you could help me with, or enlighten me as to the place of women in this tradition as a woman yourself.
Well, I feel very fortunate. I just had a retreat with His Holiness in Walden, which is the North American seat for the Sakya lineage. And the retreat was focused on Vajrayogini.
And what
And
is
she,
that? Who is that? Excuse me.
well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it here,
Okay.
because these are private teachings,
Mhm.
but Vajrayogini is regarded throughout all the lineages and traditions as the most powerful Dakini.
And what is that, a dakini? For our viewers at home who may not be familiar with these words.
Dakini means sky goer,
Ah,
and that is female entities that help on this spiritual path
so this
to
would...
promote,
Mhm.
to protect,
Mhm.
to guard, and to foster, and to illuminate other beings.
So as a model for women.
Yes.
Oh,
mhm.
So there was a retreat that you attended. Were there a lot of women there?
There were, yes. I feel awkward explaining it, but that's my definition of Vajrayogini.
Well, thank you very much,
Yes.
Kristen, and I'm sure what you've said has enlightened our viewers at home. And I'm looking forward to His Holiness's talk, as I'm sure you are.
Yes.
Thanks so much for being with us.
And the physical body and the mind are very different. Because physical body is that somebody know that from where it present body came from. It came from our parents, and also we know how it is developed, and also how it is maintained, and also we know that it is something that we can see with our eyes, and we can touch with our hands, and we can describe its size and colors and shape and so on. And then at the end also, this body will be disposed in one way or another. But the mind is something very different. Mind that we don't see. We can't see our mind with our naked eyes. We can't touch the mind with our hands. We can't describe the mind, its colors, or its shape, or its size. So it's in another way, it is the empty. It's the emptiness. Yet mind is the most powerful thing. It is the mind that will do all the wrong things, and it is the mind who also do the right things, and it is the mind who enjoys the happiness, and it is the mind who suffers. So the mind is most important thing. So this mind, since it is like emptiness, it is invisible. It is not tangible in things. So the mind, when we leave this world, our body will be disposed in one way or another, but the mind can't dispose the way we dispose the body, because it is invisible. It is something you can't burn the mind. You can't bury the mind. You can't, because mind is emptiness. It is a kind of invisible. Yet at the same time, the mind is the most powerful thing. So where this mind came from, how it is exists, how it is maintained. So this mind, since it is very different, you see that to grow the rice, you need the rice seed, and also you need the kind of land that where it grows the rice, and also the certain temperatures, certain moistures. Without that, you can't grow the rice. To grow the rice, you need the rice seed and also the necessary conditions. You can't. So similarly, to grow the wheat, also you need another kind of conditions. And you can't grow the rice from the wheat seed. You see, each and everything must have its own cost and its own conditions. And so similarly, the present mind, which is kind of invisible, this you can't rise from something visible, like from physical body, or from something that is tangible, something that we can see. It cannot arise from the elements, because elements we can see. So it cannot arise from elsewhere. So it have to arise from its own same kind of continuity. The mind is, our present mind is also changing. You see, the mind is changing all the time. The mind that we have when we are as a baby, and the mind that we have now as a grown-up person is very different. Yet it is the same continuity, unbroken, the same continuity, just like the rivers. The rivers, the water is all the time green. Actually, all the time is different water. But it is the unbroken line of water that is all the time going. So like that, the mind also is a continuity of the consciousness. So this mind, our present has the continuity, although it's changing all the time, but this line where this came from, it cannot rise from the outside things. So it must have its own same kind of line. Just to continue that, it has to have its own same kind of thing. So therefore, through that, we can prove that there was a mind prior to our present life, our present body. So in this way, we can prove that the previous life, before we take this life. And so that mind, and then if we go back, you see, we go back all the way, and prior to that, previous to that, and so on. If we go back, then there's no end. It goes on and on. So it's called from the beginningless time. It's beginningless. There's no beginning as such. This particular being's mind, you see, it's rising from this or that, or from this time, or this place. It's from the beginningless. It's one of the wonders, or the thing is that it goes on from the beginningless time until now. We were born here in every place, and we have taken many different physical forms, but it is the same kind of continuity that goes on and on. And also in the future also, unless we attain the enlightenment, that it will go on. That our present body will be disposed in one way or another, but the mind goes on and takes another life, another body, and that goes on and on. So when we die, everybody that who's taking the birth has to end with the death. So you see, it's, the Buddha said that all compound things are impermanent, and all compound things are with this kind of endings. For example, end of gathering is separation. So even here today, we gathered for many people from many different places. We have gathered here, but the end of this is then separation. We all go to different places or return to different places. So the end of gathering is a separation, and the end of birth is death. So anybody who's taking the birth has to die at the end. And end of accumulation is exhaustion. See, we accumulate wealth, we accumulate a lot of other things, we collect a lot of things. But then one day, it's all exhausted. And end of height is falling down. No matter you say how high you reach, how powerful you become, how high stages that you reach, that you can't remain there for all the time. You have to fall down. So the end of height is falling down, falling down. So therefore, everyone have to die. So the basic spiritual part, very basic spiritual part, is that this life is only temporal. It's not permanent, and it is like kind of essenceless, and it's no matter how hard we work, how much prosperities, how much worldly prosperities that we gain, one day we have to leave everything behind. You see that you have how much wealth you have, or how much fame you gain, or how much powerful you become. But one day it's all gone. Nothing remains with us. So one day when we leave this world, you can't take anything. Even though you are a millionaire, even though you have so much power, but nothing helps. When the death strikes, then you have to leave everything behind, and everything has to go. And at that time, the mind just does not disappear. You see, it cannot disappear. It's already invisible, so you can't disappear it again. And so it have to continue. It has to continue. And so when it continues, what the positive actions we have taken, the virtuous deeds or the good deeds. The good deeds means out of a positive mind, actions like loving kindness and compassion and tolerance, forgiveness, etc. But through these actions that arising from these are called virtuous deeds. And that will help us, that we can carry on. Just like the shadow will follow wherever we go, like that, the virtuous deeds that we have committed, we have practiced, even though all our belongings, even this very precious body have to leave behind, but the virtuous deeds that we have practiced, we can carry on, and also the non-virtuous deeds, which means the negative actions, like actions that are arising from ignorance, desire, anger, jealousy, etc. So the negative emotions, actions that are arising from the negative emotions will also follow us. So the positive actions and the negative actions that while we are alive, the practices that we have done, that will follow us wherever our consciousness will go. Just like the shadow will follow wherever we go. So like that it will follow. And that time it will determine if one practices the virtuous deeds, then one will continuously born in the higher realms, and one will have all the positive things, like the life we have now, the long life, the good health, the prosperity, fulfilling your wishes, and the very happy life that we enjoy are the product of the positive actions. Similarly, the negative side, like the short life, unhealthy life, and poverty, not fulfilling one's wishes, etc., are also the product of the negative deeds. So in this way, that our future life will be determined according to the kind of actions that we will taking. And if we have more negative deeds, then one will be falling down in the lower realms. Even one is not falling in the lower realms, but one will have all the negative aspects. And if one is present, if one practices the virtuous deeds, then one will continuously go in higher realms, and one will continuously have the positive lives. And to be able to carry that successfully, not to be indulged with the negative deeds, and to practice the virtuous deeds, the wisdom is very much important. As it is said in one of the commentaries, great Indian masters' commentary says that all the visible and invisible quality, the root lies in the wisdom. So without wisdom, one would not know what causes the happiness and what causes the sufferings. Though everybody is longing for the happiness, but we could not achieve the happiness because of the lack of wisdom and because of the ignorance. So the antidote for the ignorance is wisdom. And when you have the wisdom, then one will know from what causes the sufferings and what causes the happiness. So therefore, even this very simple, not to talk about the liberations or enlightenment, but even in this, to have a quality life, continuously to have a happy life, happiness in this life or happiness in the future life, and one has to make the efforts to be able to nobody wants sufferings, but the people who are doing wrong things like negative deeds, non-virtuous actions also, they are doing it for the sake of happiness. They are thinking that by doing this that they gain something, but they didn't know that by doing this that they are creating more causes of sufferings. If they have the wisdom and if they know that this causes sufferings, then one wouldn't do it. But because of the lack of wisdom, that by doing this, that they think that they can gain happiness. So that even this very basic, simple path, the wisdom is very much important. And then the higher than this is, so this part is called actually the small person's path. And it's very basic spiritual path, because small person means it is still within this world, within the samsara, or as we call samsara, or wheel of existence, just like the wheel, because the life goes on. The wheel turns and then it continues. When you finish the one round, another round starts. So like that, life also, even this life ends, future life starts, and so it goes on. Life goes on. It never stops. It goes on. So therefore, it's called the wheel of life. And so within the wheel of life, to have a good life, happy life, enjoyment, fulfilling your wishes, etc. To do that, we need to know what are the real causes of this, what are the real causes of the happiness. And so therefore, even this very basic part, the wisdom is very important. Then now the second stage is a little higher, and it's called medium person's path. And that who realize that not only in the lower realms, but even this realm, even in the higher realms also, seemingly outwardly, it appears like the mixture of happiness and sufferings, or like the pain and the pleasures. But in reality, it's all sufferings. It's no real pleasure. There's no real happiness. The entire samsara, the entire wheel of existence, there's a degree of course, there's a different degrees of sufferings. Some places have more suffering, some places have lesser suffering. So compared to the path that has more suffering, the and then the places where there are lesser suffering, it appears like a pleasure, like a happiness. But in reality, only in comparison it appears like a happiness, but in reality, if we carefully examine, as long as we remain in this samsara, or the wheel of existence, circle of existence, there is no real happiness. It's all suffering. No matter where you are born, as we can see that. You see, wherever we go, whatever we do, to whoever you associate, there's no satisfaction. There's always something to complain. In this way or that way. So this very shows that our very existence in this world, in this universe, is a suffering. And so now to renounce that totally and to attain the liberation, that is called personal liberation, oneself alone, the personal liberation. And so to do that, you have to cut the root of the samsara, or the circle of existence. And the root of the existence is that from the basic ignorance. And now, what is the basic ignorance? Actually, the true nature of our mind is pure. The true nature of our mind is the Buddha nature, that everybody's, the real true nature of the mind is never stained with obscurations. But instead of seeing this true nature of the mind, that we cling as a self, protected from fire, water, and falling down, and so on. And then we were grown as a children, and then even as a children we need a guardians. You see, our parents, teachers guided us. This is the wrong, and this is the right. They taught us everything. And then even as a grown-up person, as one person alone, it is not possible. So we need companions, we need friendship, we need friends to whom you can ask opinions, assistance, and especially when we grow up old, more and more that one needs to depend on the assistance of others. So that since our entire life, even in this life, our entire life is depend on the assistance of others. And so then just to think of oneself alone and just ignoring all others is not right. So we have to think of all the other sentient beings. And when we think of, we want every sentient being, even our most hated enemy, although it appears like in the form of enemy in this life, but in reality, this very enemy is also our very dear ones in previous lives. And so we want every living being to be happy, and to be, because everybody, whether you are a believer or whether you are a non-believer, or whatever kind of philosophies or whatever kind of ideologies you have, but everybody wants to accomplish happiness. And so we want every sentient being to be happy, and to be with the cause of happiness, which is the virtuous deeds. You see, through the virtuous deeds rises the happiness. And so this is called the loving kindness. loving kindness. But to realize the loving kindness, first we have to establish, and we should see all the sentient beings as our very dear ones. Whoever is dearest to you, mother, father, friends, relatives, whoever is the dearest to you, we should see all the sentient beings as that person. And then from there, then can rise the loving kindness. And when the loving kindness rise, then in reality, when we try to examine, if sentient beings are happy, but they are not happy. You see, every sentient beings are suffering. Every sentient beings have physical pains, mental anxiety, dissatisfaction, and that and this, and so many things, so many miseries, because of lack of wisdom again. You see, because if they have the wisdom, they would not have suffering. But due to although everybody is running for the happiness, but they do not know from where the happiness comes from. So although they are all running for the happiness, but creating more and more causes of sufferings. And everybody is trying to escape from the sufferings, but they do not know from where the suffering comes, and creating more and more causes of sufferings. And so now so compassion. Compassion means a sincere wish of caring for the beings who are suffering, who are physically in pain and mentally in anxiety, and so such person, the feelings that we have to help them, to save their misery, to save their suffering, is called the compassion. So the wisdom and compassion are very important. And when you have such a loving kindness and a compassion, then you need to literally, not just having caring thoughts alone is not enough. You need to literally rescue the beings from the suffering. And at the moment we can't rescue the other beings because we ourselves have no freedom. We ourselves are completely bound our defilements and our actions. So wherever our karma or our actions, the wind of karma blows, wherever it blows, we have to be there. We have no choice. We have not chosen to be born here. We are born out of our karma. Also in the future, where we go, we have no choice. We have no choice how long we will live. We have no choice how long we will remain. We have no choice to be healthy and prosperous, etc. Because our karmas will determine our life. So we ourselves, we have no freedom. So somebody who is completely bound with the defilements and the karma cannot to rescue the other sentient beings. So the only way to effectively to help the sentient beings is to attain the enlightenment. Just like the Buddha. You see, the Buddha attained the enlightenment, and then he can help immensely. And so the sincere wish to attain the enlightenment for the sake of all the sentient beings is called enlightenment mind. And this and now this is the highest, the superior, the great person's part, because it's very great. It's not just for seeking the enlightenment for for the sake of oneself alone, but we are seeking the enlightenment for the sake of all the sentient beings, without any exception, without any discrimination. And so such thought is very, very important. Now, to attain the enlightenment, what is required? First of all, that we have the reason why we can attain enlightenment, is that we all have the Buddha nature. We all have the seed of the Buddha. You see, the seed, to grow the crops, you need the sound seed. Without the seed, you can't grow the crops. So we all have the seed of the Buddha, in a sense that the true nature of our mind is never stained with the obscurations. The true nature of our mind is pure right from the beginning. To the true nature of our mind and Buddha's true nature of the wisdom, there's no difference. It's all same. There's no difference. But the difference is because the Buddhas have eliminated all the obscurations. And when the obscurations are cleared, then the immense quality has been accomplished. So there's a vast difference of the sentient beings and the Buddha. There's a difference of the earth and sky. The Buddhas have a great qualities, immeasurable qualities, and the ordinary beings, but in its nature, there's no difference. But at the moment, we are still, although the nature is same, but we do not see this nature. Instead of seeing this nature, that we cling as a self, and due to this creates all the obscurations, like illusory obscuration of the defilement, and the obscuration of the knowledge that blocks to see this. So therefore, we cannot develop the qualities, and which makes the big difference between the Buddhas and the ordinary sentient beings. So the number one reason that why we can become enlightened Buddhas is because we all have the seed of the Buddha. And then secondly, that we have the right method. Even we have the seed, but if we do not have the methods to clear these obscurations, then again we can't attain enlightenment. But we have the right methods. Right method is to the merit and wisdom. And the merit is the compassion. Compassion to help all sentient beings without any exception. And then the wisdom. So all of the practices to ripen the bodhisattva activities, which is known as 6 perfections. 6 paramitas, or the 6 perfections. 6 perfections are, first is perfection of generosity. Generosity means like giving, you see, giving the material gifts, giving the love, giving the dharma, giving the protection. And then second is perfection of moral conduct, good discipline, abstaining from the wrongdoings, negative deeds, non-virtuous deeds, which means the deeds that were created out of defilements, like ignorance, desire, attachment. So this is the moral conduct. Third is the patience. Fourth is the diligence. Fifth is the mental concentration, concentrated meditation. And the sixth is the wisdom. Wisdom to see the ultimate reality. And now the sixth one is the most important, because to become a perfection, you have to link with the wisdom. Without wisdom, it's not it is a generosity, but it's not the perfection of wisdom, perfection of generosity. To become the perfection of generosity, you have to have the enlightenment mind, motivation as the enlightenment mind, and wisdom to see the ultimate reality. So combining them together, then it becomes the perfection of generosity and the perfection, similarly, the perfection of moral conduct, perfection of patience, perfection of diligence, perfection of mental concentrated meditation. So the wisdom is very, very important. Namda timde se sa shi la tu san gong be rin jen du man tse che zi zom dan je den pa rim je jab jo rin wa lim bo ra din shu so ja wa ni ba je zin gong ma nge ja den ji di nyen je tse ma shi ja we lam san sa mo lo she na mo ja wa chi shin den ze shab den so pen za ja ze den je zha shi ba ba den sa je che se ba ba ne zha zang lin ze be.
I'm here with Van Austin. Van, as some of you probably know, has an empowerment show on community access, seen in Winstead and up in Massachusetts as well, Van?
Yes, we're in
Great.
Barrington area.
Well, Van is also here to listen to His Holiness's talk on wisdom and compassion. And what brought you here?
Well, the two of you. I don't know, it must have been some sort of magnetic pulse going to the...
That's very flattering, Van, but I don't believe you.
This is such a nice surprise to turn the corner of the stairs and see you two here. I'm here because I saw a picture of His Holiness in the paper, and there's a wonderful, clean, fresh look in his face. You know, sometimes I'm amazed. I look in the eyes, both different eyes of an enlightened person, and I look to see any tinge of conditioning from the world that would be, I don't know, irritable or hostile, envious, whatever. None. I just looked at this very, very pure face, so I thought, this is somebody I want to come see. And I'm very happy to be in a pretty mountaintop.
Isn't it a
setting.
beautiful spot?
And I feel this is one of those rare moments in my life when I get to be in a very, very special place at the right time.
And I understand Miriam is coming as well.
Miriam is going to be here, and she should be
Miriam, for our viewers at home, is Van's wife.
Yeah, I'm the lucky husband of a terrific person who's been interested in the Eastern spiritual paths for many years, as have I. So we both studied Hinduism. As a matter of fact, we got married in a Hindu temple in Malibu, California. Miriam's also...
That sounds very 60s.
It was actually very 90s.
Very
but
90s.
It was, it was a perfect experience. She's very, very involved with Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
We also study Buddhism. We're not pantheists, but we find the truth everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
as for me, I'm still at large. I'm not connected with any
So you're not
place.
connected?
So
You're still searching?
Who knows? Who knows? Well, I'm a maverick in that sense, but if I found a really wonderful community, that might be
Mm-hmm.
a lovely thing. I'm just open.
Yes, this truly is a beautiful place. We were talking about how lovely it is, and this room is gorgeous, which leads me to remember that your wife wrote a book called Yoga for Wimps.
That's right. It doesn't sound very holy, does it? For wimps. But the idea was a book that would help people that aren't very flexible like myself to
Mm-hmm.
actually learn to touch their toes and heroic things like that. And she's got another one called Meditation for Wimps now, and a new book called Cool Yoga Tricks that's going to be published soon. So she's on a roll. And the thing about my wife is she's just a lovely, lovely person. And I just got very lucky. So I
You
think
sure did.
her books are going to make a positive difference to some people in the world.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to His Holiness's talk, as you are, and thank you so much for
Thanks,
talking
Leila.
with us,
Yeah.
Van.
Okay, my pleasure. Bye.
Material gifts, giving the love, giving the dharma, and giving the protection. And then second is perfection of moral conduct, good discipline, abstaining from the wrongdoings, negative deeds, non-virtuous deeds, which means the deeds that were created out of defilements like ignorance, desire, attachment. So this is the moral conduct. Third is the patience. Fourth is the diligence. Fifth is the mental concentration, concentrated meditation. And the sixth is the wisdom. Wisdom to see the ultimate reality. And now the sixth one is the most important, because to become a perfection, you have to link with the wisdom. Without wisdom, it's not it is a generosity, but it's not the perfection of wisdom, perfection of generosity. To become the perfection of generosity, you have to have the enlightenment mind, motivation as the enlightenment mind, and wisdom to see the ultimate reality. So combining them together, then it becomes the perfection of generosity and the perfection, similarly, the perfection of moral conduct, perfection of patience, perfection of diligence, perfection of mental concentrated meditation. So the wisdom is very, very important. Without wisdom, you can't attain the enlightenment. And so the wisdom is the most important. So this wisdom, that we all have the seed of the wisdom, in the sense that we all have the Buddha nature. But to develop that, you see, that if the seed is kept in this rice seed is kept in a box, in a dry box, no matter how long you keep, it will never grow. But to grow that, you need to create the favorable circumstances. You have to put the seed into a fertile ground, and then putting the necessary moisture, necessary temperature, creating the necessary temperature, and also like fertilizers and so on, and then it will grow. So to grow this seed, to grow the Buddha nature, then we need to practice these 6 perfections. And for collecting things is another form of practices that to help the sentient beings. And so in this way that we must work. So therefore, whichever level of the path that one follows, the wisdom is very, very important. Without wisdom, there's no way to accomplish any level of spiritual path. And on the other hand, all Buddhist teachings are based on the compassion. Particularly in the Mahayana, the Bodhisattva, the enlightenment, the path depends on the compassion. Compassion is important in the beginning, in the meantime, and even after accomplishing the enlightenment as well. And so the two, the wisdom and the compassion, both are equally important, just like 2 wings. To fly in the sky, you need the 2 wings. And so the 2 wings are, the one side is method or the compassion, and another side is the wisdom. So wisdom and compassion are also depend on each other. Without wisdom, you can't have the proper compassion, and without compassion, also you can't accomplish the wisdom. So the two are depend on each other, and so with the two together, then one can accomplish the enlightenment. So with this now I conclude my talk, and if there are for a few minutes that if you have questions, I will be happy to answer.
I've been meditating a long time, and so have a lot of people here, I'm sure, and I practice the 6 protections, and I do a lot of practices, and yet, I still feel like I'm just so far from perfection or enlightenment. And in the West, we have this concept of surrendering to God or surrendering to God's will. Can you discuss that concept in a Buddhist perspective? How do we do it? I mean, we just... I feel like I'm almost hopeless.
I think you have already started, and already is a lot of progress. One need not be discouraged, because it takes a long time, because as I said, it's from beginningless time that we are caught in the samsara. So now to free from samsara, it's not something that can happen in this sort of short way, and there's no kind of miracle to happen that. And you see, it's different in Buddhism that the Buddha has given us the greatest help. The way the Buddha is helping is not just through his miracles that he saves us. It's not like that. Because the Buddha himself gave the teaching of the law of karma. He said everything is karma. Due to our actions that we have all these different lives, experiences. So if we do wrong things, and then we are praying to Buddha to save us, it wouldn't work. Even the 1,000 Buddha appears, but so the Buddha has shown us, the Buddha gave us the instruction, what is the right way and what is the wrong way. So therefore we must not go on the wrong way, we must go on the right way. And if we go on the right way, we can save ourselves. So Buddha said, you yourself is the savior of you. Nobody can save you. You see, like, to cure our disease is important to have the good doctors. But at the same time, the patient oneself also have to work hard to take the medicines, to do the right things. Even if you have the best doctor, if the patient doing wrong things, if the patient keeping eating the wrong food and wrong behaviors, it cannot cure you. So that we have to work ourselves, and you already started part. So that itself is a good progress.
Is there a concept in Buddhism that would relate to the idea of intuition or a God within that speaks? In the West, I guess in Quakerism and in Hinduism, there's a sense that the Brahman speaks through the Atman. Is there a similar idea in Buddhism that a particular guiding voice or genius inside each person exists, and you can listen to that and you can find out what it's trying to teach you specifically?
I don't think there's a kind of separate being that who guides you, but you see, we all have the Buddha nature. Our basic nature of the mind is pure, and so the Buddha also emphasized on analyzing ourselves by using our own intelligence, by using our own wisdom, that we must carefully examine each and everything, and then on the basis of that also we receive the teachings, and then we, through the teachings, that we gain more and more wisdoms, and combination of two together, that one must find the ways. Yes?
I wonder if you could describe some of the qualities of wisdom.
You see, when you have the wisdom, then you can do the right things, like abstaining from the non-virtuous deeds, through which you can get all the positive side of life. And by practicing the meditations, you can attain the liberations, personal liberations. By practicing the perfections, you can get the enlightenment. So all of these, the root lies in the wisdom. Without wisdom, you can't do anything. So the wisdom is so important, because anything to be able to successfully carry on, the wisdom is important. Yes.
When you're facing death, and you explain you have many lives and incarnations, but if you are facing death and illness is ravaging your body, how can you prepare yourself, and how can you prepare your mind to accept death, or should you accept death, or can you prepare your mind to think positively, and can that heal you? I mean, in a case of a terminal illness, or in case of something that is devastating, can you overcome that through these teachings, or can you just prepare yourself for death? I mean, what's your choice?
All of this is actually preparation for the death. Many practices, because you see, death is something that we can't avoid. Nobody wants to die, but at the same time, nobody can escape from it. We have to face sooner or later. One day we have to die. So therefore, there's no way to escape from it. And so the way to prepare for the death is that at the time of death is very important. It is just like turning point. It's a turning point. And so at that time, if you have a negative mind, then it's very dangerous. Negative mind can lead to sufferings. So at that time, first of all, have to be really relaxed, because there's no point in the anxiety, because you can't avoid the death. So one have to be very relaxed, and then on the basis of that one have to generate the positive side, the positive mind, like the loving kindness, the compassion to all beings, and that will certainly direct towards the quality.
What do they mean when they say meditate on emptiness? What do you mean by meditating on emptiness?
Yes. Emptiness means that, you see, ordinary people, we do not bother to find out what is the reality, what is the ultimate truth. We accept as it is. As we see, as we experience, we accept as it is. But the more intelligent beings try to examine why it is like this, why we are here, what is the reality. So the reality is not as we see. What we see now is not the reality. The reality is something else. We see these things, we see what we see is like dreams. You see, what we are dreaming, it is as real as this life. While we are dreaming, we can have enjoy joy, we can have a sorrow also, we can have all kinds of feelings. But when we awake from our dreams, there's not a single sign of what we saw in our dreams. So the present life is also like a dream. It's not the real. The reality is not what we see. The reality is away from the present appearances, and these appearances, for very sharp reasons, with carefully examining, and then the ultimate reality is actually beyond description. It is beyond existence and non-existence, and both and neither. It is beyond any description. But it cannot be described in words. It is just referred as emptiness. But it is not emptiness in the sense there's nothingness, because when there is no inherent existence, then there's to compare to that, there's no nothingness also. So it's just referred as emptiness. The name is emptiness.
She couldn't quite understand it.
So when you meditate on emptiness,
Yes.
what is that experience? What are you meditating on? How do you connect with the emptiness? What are you thinking about?
You see that when you meditate as an ordinary person like us, you can't experience the ultimate truth straight away. And so we go step by step. First step is that all these phenomena that we go through are not existing as it is. And then you go to the second step, that not existing is also not the reality. And so all the four extremes, like existing, non-existing, both, and neither, and reaching beyond that, the true emptiness, or the true experience, only those who have entered the noble stage can experience. So now if there's no question, then So now we do the conclusion prayers.
Yawani baje zeng goma nge jaden jide nyen je zema shi jawe lam san sa mo lob she namo yawa chi shin den ze shab den so pen za ja ze den je tra shi ba den sa je che se ba ne zhuo zang lin ze be jian du qun qun xin san sun do jie da dian so lu me la ma cho sam tu jie dan yi dam dian song jia zi tu do tan qi nie za mo ju me den be de qi da so we de den zhu ju qi